Hello and welcome to the Doll House. I am the doll. Sorry I've been away. My baby sister graduated from college. I had to go and show my love and support. So I'm back. Today I'm going to be discussing the consequences of having a pick-me mom. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my little sister. Actually, she's graduated from a very prestigious school on the East Coast. Her mother was married to my father, and she experienced a very different, much more privileged life, very Jack and Jill type of life than me. I'm very grateful for that because I don't want anybody to have experienced the pain of not having their father around the way that I did. And watching their mother suffer through loving someone who paid her dust. And so this video is all about the realities of having a pick-me mother, growing up with a mom who is a pick-me. She's not as much anymore, but her circumstances have put her in a situation where she is married to a man that she met while she was a pick-me. So things, naturally are a bit difficult. I'm going to say this about my mother. I love her. I love my mother. I know she loves me. She's human. Mothers are very, very fallible. They make mistakes. There are books about motherhood, how to be a good parent, but nobody really, I'm not going to say nobody, but most people, especially people like my mother, will not have read those books, may have never even heard of them. And I also want to say that being a pick-me is not a life sentence. It's not a genetic predisposition. You don't have to be a pick-me for life. I have been a pick-me for sure. For sure. I have been a pick-me for sure, baby. And I know that some of it is a consequence of repeating behaviors that I have seen or being so repelled by behaviors that I've seen that I move differently, but still from a pick-me zone. So I'll get into that in future videos perhaps, but this one is about growing up, having a pick-me mother. For those of you who may have been accused of being a pick-me and you are a mom, listen to this to see how you could potentially be hurting your children. And what being a pick-me really is a person, a woman who gives first in her relationships with men. She gives first and gives more than what she's receiving. She is the giver. She is the chaser. She is out of balance with the natural order of the feminine divine and masculine divine. The feminine divine energy is an energy of receiving and transforming, creating, and giving back. The masculine energy is the giver, the injector, the inoculator, the leader, leading energy. The leading energy, as far as when I say leading, I mean the one who does it first. The one who goes first to make the move, to demonstrate willingness and ability to be a protector and provider. Willingness, ability, enthusiasm, and a focus. That's the order of things when they are proper. And I'd also like to say that the desire for love and belonging is it's a need. It's a very well documented need, as evidence throughout history. And Maslow, there is a psychologist, a famous psychologist by the name of, is it Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow. He published a paper called A Theory of Human Motivation. And it included a pyramid that showed what motivates people. And at the very top of that pyramid is the motivation to become transcendent and self-actualized, meaning that you are your best self. That's what we're trying to do here. But at the very bottom need, the very, very first thing is physiological. You just need a place to live, a place to eat, something to eat, sleep, clothing, food, water, safety and security. That is, shelter, employment, some consistency, maybe a routine, social network of people who know you and can vouch for you and kind of stand up for you. And then loving belonging within that. That's the best part of our relationships. That's the best part of our relationships. So love and belonging is a very, very integral part of what people want. So there's nothing wrong with wanting love, with wanting partnership, and seeking out romantic relationships that can help you to have safety and security, get your physiological needs met, have that love and belonging. That's what we as people seek out from others. Those three aspects of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. According to him, it's very difficult to reach the higher levels and reach self-actualization and transcendence without having the bottom needs being met. So, it's very hard to be transcendent when you're hungry and on the street. You might do something violent. You might do a little something strange for a piece of change just to get your physiological needs met. And it's hard to be okay with yourself in those circumstances. So my mother was seeking love and belonging, but in an imbalanced way as the giver rather than the receiver, and throwing herself into a consistent cycle of pygmeism, the disease of pik-me. And it has resulted in me experiencing pain as a young person growing up. And, luckily I turned out okay because she really did do the best she could. She didn't know any better. She was really born at a time when the sexual revolution was about to go into full swing. And the idea of making a man wait for sex, making him wait until after he had demonstrated willingness and ability to be the protector and provider, that was starting to be considered an old-fashioned way of being. And so, she didn't know any better because also my grandmother left her husband, and there's a whole roller coaster ride of romantic scenarios that definitely influenced my mother. And yeah, it did cause pain in my life. And one of the ways that it caused pain was from just watching her suffer and watching her be depressed and drained by being used by the men that she was dating. Until she met my stepfather, who he did pour into my mother in certain ways. She would be so depressed before I turned around 14. Drained and distracted by being heartbroken, left on red. If there was such a thing back then, her reaching out and not being answered was that happening. Her being in pursuit, it caused her not being able to mother properly. Sometimes the housekeeping suffered. I ended up being a very big caretaker, housekeeper, and help raising my brothers in lots of ways. It prevented her from excelling at work. It prevented her from pursuing her careers. She did get a degree in computer programming, never used it. She did get a real estate license and did not put that to work. Mostly because she lacked confidence and she was distracted. Getting over heartache all of the time, feeling used and drained and upset and angry, and probably looking at herself like, wow, what's wrong with me? So that did cause me pain. And, there would be times when maybe she'd meet somebody and go for an overnight trip and leave us at home. Of course, if I was, I think by the time that I reached 11, 12 years old, she trusted that nothing would happen while she was away, because I was there as the protector and provider. Me. Maybe a 90-pound, 12-year-old girl who could barely fry a piece of chicken without causing salmonella. Yeah, it was a lot of risky behavior there, So she would go and as I started being interested in boys and they started being interested in me, as she would leave, they would come. Not just to come to my house and sleep with me or anything like that, but definitely come by, hang out, maybe just definitely. I did get a boyfriend, and yeah, maybe it's true. Me losing my virginity happened because my mother wasn't around. And I basically had that boyfriend throughout high school, and there was lots of consequences of not having a parent that was totally present. And it was almost like she wanted my boyfriend's approval too. She wanted to be the cool mom. She couldn't say no. She said no every now and then, but she wanted to be accepted and revered as cool and maybe relevant at that time. It just didn't. It's not a good environment for a young, impressionable preteen / teenage girl. So, her being a pick-me, her just having unprotected sex and children with a man who wasn't a good candidate for love in the first place, that is indicative of that pick-me behavior. And that is the main source of all of the suffering. That decision alone, mistaking romance for love, romance and the hugging, the kissing, the love notes and sweet nothings and sweet talking that happens early on in the relationship. That's just the fluff. The love is the meat of it, where there's responsibility and a dedication, a sense of support that can only come under the sobriety of marriage, really. Or forming a commitment that's really satisfactory to you in a way that legitimizes you in the eyes of others, that this is the person who is responsible and has a duty to you. That was missing with her. That was missing from her. That romantic experience that she was having. She mistook the fun sexual part of romance for love, and a lot of women do. And I have as well. And her being a pick-me, it did result in me taking on a lot of responsibility that I otherwise wouldn't have. And also having a boyfriend, a quote-unquote serious boyfriend, where I lose my virginity and I'm having sex with him much too soon. Much, much too soon. And I do feel as though, yes, it can be overcome. I've certainly overcome it. My mother is not... She does still have some of that same mindset, to be honest. She's set in her ways with regard to seeking out that validation and attention from a man. She works herself to the bone. And she does that to buy the love that she's getting. So there is an element of envy coming from her where she sees that I have a person who is very happy to be the provider in my life. She was almost amazed that the money that I would make would be for me and that I wouldn't have to use it for household bills. And that's something I like for myself, but she almost feels like it's unfair. And that's because of that pick-me mentality, giving more, wanting to be the giver first. And so here in the dollhouse, over here with, me, the doll, we have embraced our divine feminine energy, and I hope you do too. Be the receiver. Give in response to being gifted with love, the actual love, not just attention and affection, but support and reliance. So I hope this is helpful, dolls. I love you very much. Sorry that I've been gone so long. I'm back now. And we'll be talking soon.